Coming up, a video I posted to YouTube about the president's porta potty results in a visit from the United States Secret Service. Welcome to Be Less Stupid, the show for liberal politics, investigations, science, fact, and funny. I'm your host, Jon Hotchkiss. If you haven't done so already, I would encourage you to please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you'll be alerted when new videos premiere. Okay, so look, I'm going to tell you a story now that I was asked actually not to tell. It wasn't a demand, it was more of a, hey, could you do us a favor kind of thing. And well, when the person asking is from the United States Secret Service, and he's asking on behalf of the president, and he's asking you while he's standing in your backyard, you have to seriously consider that request. That said, enough time has passed that the security issues that I uncovered have long ago been addressed. So telling the story will not result in any adverse consequences. So here we go. I'm going to start at the beginning. That's a good place, by the way. Back on September 20th, 2018, Donald Trump held a campaign rally in Las Vegas. The night before the rally, I drove from my home in Los Angeles to Las Vegas to report on the event. I got to Vegas around 11 o'clock. I checked into my hotel across the street from the convention center where the rally would be held the following night. After I checked in, I decided to go across the street to see where the people would be lining up in the morning. It's a big place and I didn't want to be wandering around not knowing where to go. So, when I get to the convention center, I see that the doors are wide open. I'm a curious guy. I have my camera with me, so I walk in. Anyway, it's a big room, and lo and behold, it's the room where the Trump rally is going to take place. I figured this out because I see Trump's picture, plus all the swastika flags. I'm kidding. Or am I? I see giant American flags. I see a crane putting up a sign that says, promises made, promises kept, and another one that says witch hunt. Plus, campaign workers had already dragged in the water fountain just for the coloreds. I see the bleachers. I see the spot where the president's podium is going to be set up. And all the stuff I see is set up for the media. Although there's a bunch of people around, no one actually kicks me out. And after about 10 minutes, I figure I've got enough video to tell a story about what happens before the rally. Not to mention being so close to all that Trump stuff, I was pretty sure that I was going to get an STD. On my way out, I wonder what's in the back behind the curtain. So I walk outside around the convention center to see if there's also a back door that's open. Turns out there is, and it's wide open. I poke my head in, and this time I don't see anyone, but the area is not entirely empty. The first thing that catches my eye is a porta potty. And then it dawns on me, oh my God, that's the president's porta potty. It's where 45 is going to make a number 2. So, I do what any Trump-hating liberal with the mentality of a 5-year-old boy would. I take a bunch of selfies in front of the porta potty, and I make a bunch of stupid faces that I will post on Facebook and Twitter. Next, I see a curtain backdrop, and in front of it, it's got the flag of Nevada and the US flag. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the flag Trump is gonna hug before he takes pictures with the Republican donors. Now, before I head out, I notice what looks like a bunch of crude dressing rooms. As I get closer, I see some paper signs are taped to the curtains. There's one for the guests of the vice president, and there's one for the president himself. I, of course, take a few selfies. Now, before I continue, I do want you to know that it's at about this time of night. It was about 12:30 or so. It begins to dawn on me. I should probably get out of where I am, and I think I probably shouldn't be in here either. That said, the doors were wide open, and there were no guards, and no one told me to leave. Next, I'm off to bed. Now, first thing in the morning, I head back. My plan is to be one of the first people on the line, and then to spend all day talking to Trump voters. I'm going to be undercover, dressed like one of them, and then I'm going to try to figure out why they still support him. Anyway, when I arrive, I see that the doors to the convention center are still open, and again, I just walk inside, and I take some more video. Looking back, I realize I was in the room where the president would be 17 hours before he was going to speak, then again 11 hours before he was going to speak. But that was it. Well, that is if you don't count the third time that I was in there at around 11. I had to pee, so I went back inside. Just walked in, used the restroom, and one more time I decided to see if I could poke my head into the rally room and get some more video. So I did. Finally, the last time I went inside was around 4, and this time there was an enormous security presence. Sometime between 11 and say 12, as I recall, the Secret Service arrived. Then, everyone who entered was screened by the Secret Service. They had metal detectors and wands, and lots of guys with guns.
He's fired.
Nice.
Oh, that's my former life.
Thank you.
You're hired. You'll be on the staff. Better than 90% of the crap that I have already.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Now, finally around 7 or so, the rally actually started.
Always respect our great American flag.
20 minutes after Trump started bloviating about Hillary's emails and the fake news, people started to leave. That is true. Here is video of that.
We spent $1.6 billion and another $1.6 billion. Unfortunately, sadly, because of the Democrats' obstruction, only...
Anyway, back at home, I make a few videos from the event. You can find links to them down in the description. One of the videos was titled, "I Snuck Backstage at Trump's Las Vegas Rally." In it, I tell a much more abbreviated version of the story that you just heard. I assume that someone is going to see it and alert the Secret Service, and that the security issues are going to be resolved. The truth is, I actually forgot about it because at this point, I had to focus on another story, the one about the kids being separated from their parents at the border. I had found out that there was a place where some of the kids were being held about 75 miles from my house, so I wanted to go and check that out.
Who were separated from their parents have been brought to this facility.
Now, 2 weeks later, I go to another Trump rally. This one is in Phoenix. Again, I get there the night before, and again, I try to get into the venue. Only this time, when I get there at around 11 o'clock at night, I find lots of police with guns blocking the road that leads to the airplane hangar where the rally is going to be held. And at that moment, I think to myself, how the hell am I going to sneak past these guys with all their guns? I'm kidding. I think, great, someone saw my video, and now this potential security problem has been resolved. Now, cut to 2 days later. I'm back in LA from Phoenix. Around lunchtime, I get a knock at my gate. I come outside and I see two guys. I say, "Can I help you?" And they say, "We're with the United States Secret Service. Are you Jon Hotchkiss?" And I say, "Absolutely not. And when you find him, take him to Gitmo and waterboard him. That guy is a communist." I'm kidding. Of course I say yes. They ask if they can come inside. They have some questions that they would like to ask me. I invite them in and we sit down at a table in my yard. Now, look, I wasn't permitted to videotape the Secret Service while they were here, and I have no actual proof that they were. You're just gonna have to trust me on this, okay? Anyway, since there's no video, I shot these reenactments. And keep in mind, I do the show entirely on my own. I write it, film it, edit it, everything. So the only people in the reenactment are, well, me. But I did make it easy to distinguish myself from the Secret Service agents. Anyway, we sat down at a table. One of the Secret Service agents sits across from me. The other stands behind me, right, in case I make any sudden moves. 4 hours after my heart stopped racing, I said, "Fellas, what can I do to help you?" The first question the Secret Service agent had for me is, "Do you own any weapons?" And I said, "No." Then they want to know if I have any weapons training. Again, I say no. Was I ever in the military? Again, no. Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Have you ever seen a grown man naked? Again, I say no and no. The guy sitting across from me has a file. He opens it, and inside he's got a few photos of me. They're screen grabs from my YouTube page, and he's printed them out. Then he says to me, "Tell me about the rally in Las Vegas." And then it all comes flooding back to me. No security, Trump's porta potty, the flags, the dressing rooms, right? The signs. He asked me how I snuck past the Secret Service. And he sort of gestures to the picture that he's holding. It's got the title of the video that says, "I snuck backstage at Trump's rally." Well, look, at this point, I explained to him the importance of a good title on a video if you want people to watch it. I explained that I didn't really sneak. I mean, I did sort of, but no, not really. Rather, I just went to the convention center. I opened the door that was opened. I walked in and that no one told me to leave, and there was no one guarding it. And it was at that moment that I realized, although he was making it seem like maybe I did something wrong, what he really wanted to know was how I was able to get into the convention center so many different times. I explained to him that I got there a little after 11, that there were no guards. I wandered in just to get some pictures for a video I wanted to make, right? And that I got curious. So I went around back, and that's when I saw the porta potty in the president's dressing room, and I made the stupid faces. He asked me if I had a grudge against the president. I said I did, that I didn't like him. And he said that was totally fine, that there are a lot of people who don't like him. Next, he asked me if I had any intention of sneaking into any more Trump rallies, right? I explained that I didn't have any intention previously because I didn't sneak into the first one, and that I have no intention of sneaking into any other ones. He again asked me about the times that I was able to get in, and to be specific, I told him it was at 11:30 at the front door, about midnight at the back door, about 8 a.m. at the front door again, and about 11 a.m. through the front door. And that is when he said, okay. So that was before we got there, and I said, right! The Secret Service didn't show up until about 12 or 1, and I remember that because they had showed up in a bunch of trucks and with some metal detectors. Then, I can't remember if I offered or if they asked to see the raw video that would confirm the times that I went inside. I showed them a few clips, they wrote down the timestamps in their notebook. Then they left me sitting alone while they had a private discussion. They let me sweat for what seemed like a long time, like I was a suspect in an episode of Law and Order. Finally, they said that it was time to go, that everything was totally fine, that I wasn't in any trouble, rather that I was a huge help, and that I should expect a call from the White House, that Trump would give me the Presidential Medal of Freedom and some White Castle hamburgers. As the guys were leaving, one of them said to me, would you please do us a favor and not discuss our visit on your videos? He added, you have the right to talk about them. I'm not telling you don't do it. I'm asking you not to for obvious reasons. And by obvious, I assume that he meant, well, security reasons. I said, okay, but can I tell my friends? And he said, of course. And then we pounded fists. Okay, so that is it. That is my Trump rally story. Thanks to everyone who watched. And please remember to share this video on social media. Tell your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. For Be Less Stupid, I'm the host, Jon Hotchkiss. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
And no one on YouTube gets you closer to the facts, closer to the action, closer to the Democratic candidates.
The president will be right. Not so good. Right over there in about 3 hours from now.
Subscribe now to Be Less Stupid. Liberal politics, investigations, muckraking, science, fact, and funny.
Anyway, I'm coming. I'm just going to say that they threw me out.
Keep going, sir, please.
I'm coming, I swear.
We need you to keep moving.
All right, they threw me out. Look at that. For what? That's crazy. What kind of country is this?
New videos 2 to 3 times per week. Be Less Stupid.